CzarThwomp here, and welcome to episode 41 of Apollo Justice. Last time, we were starting Phoenix's final trial in a flashback form, which, as you can see, just took us back to the classic Ace Attorney courtroom, and we had the final cross-examination with Gumshoe. As of this moment, just no more Gumshoe. Just Gumshoe does not appear. He's gone. He has yet to make an appearance in another Ace Attorney game. Even in the crossover, the Professor Layton Phoenix Wright crossover, he didn't appear. Gumshoe has just been gone. But anyways, let's just go and continue cross-examining Volant. One of those pistols he used to shoot the clown in the forehead. Then he left with it in his pocket. Of course, this is what he would say. Unlike the hapless clown, we must assume our defendant has some brains in his head. Well, what about what Mr. Volant has told us? You see, there's something about this testimony that doesn't make sense, such as why CzarThwomp's controller keeps on acting up. Why does his Xbox controller keep going on and off at the slightest beep? What might that be? I told you, I took the pistol that was there and shot the clown! I always hated that clown! Magnifi treated it better than all of us combined! He actually gave it to bed! That's your story, at least. But the rifling marks tell a very different story, Mr. Volant. Recall what Prosecutor Gavin told us. We compared the bullets taken from the victim's skull with the bullet fired from this gun. The rifling marks on the bullets were a perfect match. Mr. Volant, if you fired this pistol, then you shot the victim in the forehead.
Order! Well, this is all rather sudden.
What have I done?
Prosecutor Gavin?
I owe the court an apology. Sorry! Sorry for what? You see, I was unaware that 2 of these unique pistols were crafted. The analysis of the rifling marks only proves the type of guns that fired them. But that's not what you told us before! You said you'd verified the murder weapon. Which is why I'm apologizing to you right now. Quite sincerely, I might add. Sadly enough, this is actually the most sincerest apology that Phoenix has ever gotten from a prosecutor in the series. Really, at least compare that to Edgewood's updated autopsy report. Would you hold me accountable for a mistake made in my youth? That was just this morning! I am still young. And, I might add, it wasn't really my fault. If the defendant had only admitted he took one pistol from the crime scene, we would not be having this pleasant discussion now. Well, at least Claudia isn't blaming Gumshoe somehow. Ach, Gumshoe! Why did you not tell me there were 2 murder weapons? Pay cut! I didn't know! Regardless, pay cut! If Gumshoe's pay was cut in this case, that would be outright sad. That would be one of the saddest things in the entire series, because here you have Investigations 2, Gumshoe gets this pay raise as like the ultimate arc for his story. Just he finally gets the elusive pay raise. He finally has some good in his life, and then pretty much the next week or so, Claudia just takes it away.
Couroup Gramarye.
Yes, Your Honor!
You were presented to this court as a decisive witness, but you've proved to be more divisive than decisive.
Objection! You'll see in time. The testimony so far has merely been a review of the facts. The proof comes next.
Care to elaborate, Prosecutor Gavin?
When Mr. Volant entered the hospital room, the victim had already been shot. As his next testimony will prove, alright, the real fight is about to begin!
Bring it! Very well, the witness will now testify to the court. Help us determine who shot what.
I arrived in the hospital room at the appointed time, which is to say 11:20 p.m. After discovering the body, I fulfilled my obligation, then called in the doctor. But not before kicking it a few times and yelling about it how it was mean to me. This is for telling me that yellow is a pansy color. This is for telling me that my sleight of hands was sleight of skill. This
This is for telling me that my hair looks like a hand! Looks like a lady's hand! Psh. The doctor examined the body before the police arrived. He was quite clear at the time of death, 11:10 p.m. And the one in the room at the time was my partner, not me. Those times are rather close, you have to admit. You're talking about an alibi established over a matter of minutes. To use a 10-minute discrepancy as the basis of your alibi.
It's easy to explain in this situation, Herr Judge. For example, take our debuted single, 13 Years Hard Time for Love. The song in which, upon receiving my platinum record, I went right to the rocker parent's house. I went up to the leader and I said, F you, look at my platinum record, B! Go to the song, press the play button and it will play for 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Do it 100 times, the result is the same. Their debut single was only 2 minutes and 15 seconds long? What a ripoff! Magic is a word of utmost precision. Hocus pocus requires admirable focus. And in the time of death determined by the doctor, there is an incontrovertible truth.
Very well. The prosecution warns us that we're dealing with rather precise times. And we can expect the cross-examination to require the same level of precision.
I would hope the defense refrains from its customary broad, sweeping accusations, lest we blur the focus this case so clearly demands.
Point taken. Baseless remarks will result in a penalty. Carry on, Mr. Wright.
Carry on. Right. But the broad sweep is the way of Phoenix, Clavier. To deny that is to deny Phoenix's heritage. I don't think I'm stepping out of on a limb to say I have some doubts about this. How could the doctor be so precise with the time?
We do usually only get an estimated time of death, true. I'm not sure I've heard of a verified time of death. Magic revels in making the complex appear simple, but reality is quite the opposite. What appears complex in this case is a simple matter of subtraction. I see another person that has done their arithmetic homework.
The point here is the IV the victim was taken. It's quite visible in the photograph of the scene. Recall what we heard earlier about the victim, Magnifico Gramarye's schedule. Every night at 11, Magnifi took an IV drip for 30 minutes.
I can see the IV bag right there, yes.
Now, look a little closer. Follow the tube down the bag to the end.
Oh! The needle's been removed!
Doubtlessly, it fell out when he was shot.
That would seem to be the case.
When the needle comes out, the IV no longer drips. Ah! You could just measure the remaining IV liquid. Precisely! The IV liquid functions for all our purposes as an hourglass of sorts. This is how the doctor determined the time of death. From the amount remaining in the bag, it was determined that the IV had stopped at 10 minutes after administration began. And so it was when I belonged into that room and became the math wizard! Behold, young Trucy, I shall help you with your math homework! 2 + 2 = 4! 10 minutes had passed since that horrible crime was committed! And this is the proof!
Well, Mr. Wright?
Did that seem important? Well, seeing how this is the biggest clue we have at the time of death, I'd say it's very important.
Agreed. This would be to imagine a more precise way to determine the time, and CzarThwomp has forgotten his timer!
Sorry, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I forgot my timer! Thank you, Judge!
Behold the power of arithmetic! Now I am the math wizard! I am Mathdorf! Or Divider Dwarf!
I don't know.
The judge, you will not pass this exam!
Boom! Just slam his gavel on the ground, I don't know.
Very well. The witness will add this detail to his testimony. Sometimes the most magical thing of all is the truth. Something that does not exist in Troupe Gramarye.
Okay. Oh no! Your Honor, what do you think about the witness's statement?
I'm not sure I follow you.
It's clearly contradicts the I thought.
You don't sound very sure, Mr. Wright. Objection overruled.
I don't think that won me 8 points with the judge. The witness statement is clearly faulty, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, but I can't see anything faulty. Unfortunately, I will have to penalize you, Mr. Wright.
Did you notice the IV yourself by any chance? When I first entered the room, the stench of gunpowder assailed me. Next, the mark of death upon my mentor's forehead. And then, his left arm, did I spy, arose, drooping and wilted, its thorn, the discarded IV needle. Knocked on the vein, but it was the shot, luckily for you. If the IV had not been there, why, you might be a suspect. Indubitably so. I might say it's thanks to my lucky color. Your lucky color? Indeed, even today I wear to proudly pawn my suspect self, what always without fail brings me luck. Why, when Zack and Valant won their first Magician's Grand Prix against that flamboyant pink magician from the circus, yes, the very one held by the Association of International Magicians, I was adorned in this attire then too, and our trophy, our bust, what a day that was! I then used that bust to murder our girl's father, as is tradition of the award! Ugh. This is one trip down memory lane no one needs. Fabulous! My lucky color, yes indeed, and that IV too, I say. I think 'twas hued especially for me. Valant! Okay, here it is.
That does seem to be the case indeed. Well, Mr. Wright, any thoughts on this testimony?
Valant sure looks happy with himself. Okay, how about this lucky color testimony? Okay, here we go. There's a contradiction. Okay, there we go. It certainly sounds like your lucky colors brought you plenty of luck, but not this time. Mr. Valant, your lucky colors betrayed you. I'm afraid you've lost me. How could yellow betray anyone? It is the most pimping of all the colors. True that. True that. Look at my background. It's yellow. It's the snazziest of all the colors. Your Honor, the witness's testimony just now clearly contradicts the evidence.
What? Please recall my warning at the beginning of this cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Baseless accusations will be duly penalized. I do hope this latest accusation is well based.
Don't worry, I've got all your bases right here.
Very well. Let's hear the defense's claim. Where is your evidence that contradicts what Mr. Valant has told us?
The crime scene tells all, Your Honor.
The photo of the crime scene?
All this talk of color has me yearning for black and white, clear-cut simplicity. Tell us, Herr Wright, just where is this contradiction in your photo? My pleasure, and I assure you, it's quite simple. But I can't promise anything in black and white.
Let's hear what Mr. Wright has to say. When this photo contradicts the witness's testimony.
Magnifi's hat! Valant Gramarye, let's get one thing straight about your lucky color. It's yellow, yes? Actually, no! It's this pink cravat that I wear! And then meanwhile, Edgeworth, it's maroon! From across town. As if he has some sixth sense for the maroon. Kinda takes the mystery out of it, but yes!
Something wrong with yellow, Mr. Wright?
Yes, I love how Phoenix is now starting to create a pattern of using yellow objects and the color yellow as part of his trial. Yes, there is decisively wrong, in fact. Take another look at this photo of the crime scene.
What's this?
Confusion, doubt. Tell us, what does your elderly eye spy? Yes, and mind you, Volant is 37! He's older than Phoenix! He's older than Phoenix!
Even my elderly eyes can see a problem here, Mr. Volant. Look at the IV bag.
Ack! What is this? What foul magic? It would be hard to call the IV liquid yellow, and I'm afraid no magic was involved in the taking of this photograph. Technically, though, Phoenix, green is made from yellow. Alicus, no! Come to me, my animal friends!
Order, order, order! What does this mean?
This is some kind of mistake!
Yes, Prosecutor Gavin, your witness's mistake.
The greener they are, the harder they fall. I don't know, Phoenix. Manfred had a track record of 40 years of perfection, and yet he went down pretty hard. I suppose there's no substitute for experience. Phoenix, you would have taken on 3 cases, and you took down Manfred, a guy who had 40 years of perfection under his belt. And mind you, Manfred's the guy who was not the guy who took day offs. Manfred's day off. Manfred's ideal vacation would be going to Courtroom and basically engaging in some of their 100% guilty verdict trials. Well, Count Gramarye, as you reminded us several times, your lucky color is yellow, but the IV is clearly not. Well, this contradiction can mean only one thing. And to think, you almost had me. I see your true colors now, Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright.
Something you'd like to tell us, Prosecutor Gavin? As far as this court can tell, the witness's testimony does contradict the evidence.
Yeah, a contradiction. One that I shall be pleased to hand right back to Mr. Wright. How do you mean? How? Because the witness has made no mistakes. I agree, at a glance, the IV liquid does appear a sort of greenish yellow. But I assure you, the liquid itself is quite yellow.
Yellow liquid? How could you say that? As far as I can tell from this photo, it's green.
Yeah, but what color is the IV bag itself? The bag? You mean the plastic bag on the hook?
It looks like I want to say light blue?
Precisely, figured it out yet. Pour the yellow liquid in a blue background. You get green. This, incidentally, is the liquid's true color.
I see. Your explanation does have a ring of truth to it.
As I thought. There's no substitute for experience, Prosecutor Gavin. What? You may tell a good tale, but you've just proven something rather grave. For you, that is. Grave? The liquid in this IV is yellow, yes. But how did this witness know that? Easy! I opened up the bag and I pissed in it! I literally replaced the IV strip with a jar of my piss! I had been saving it to poison Magnifi! After all, his blood is piss! It's quite unnatural when you think about it. You did think about it, didn't you? Your Honor, the defense requests an explanation from the witness. At the scene of the crime, the IV liquid appears to be green. So let me ask, how did the witness know the IV liquid was actually yellow? Alakaz OMG! I am getting with the times! Hashtag smiley face emoji!
Order, order, order! Mr. Wright, you will explain this at once. The witness clearly knew the color of the IV liquid. So I'm sure it means something, but what?
It means pursuit time. You're in my element. You're in my cornered realm. Yeah, I love how they just play the classic pursuit theme from the very first game. Phoenix's final case. before his disbarment. Basically had his first pursuit theme. I can think of only one possibility, Your Honor. The witness, Count Gramarye, has testified that the IV liquid was yellow because... From the facts before us, the answer is clear. The witness knew that the IV liquid was yellow. Why? Because he'd seen it before, but not inside the blue bag we see in the photo. He saw the liquid by itself in a clear, colorless bag.
I suppose he would have had to, but I'm not clear as to what all this means.
Ask yourself, why would he know if he didn't work at the hospital? I don't know. Really, if Clavier was on his A game, he would say, oh, because Volant may have visited his dying mentor in the hospital and saw the liquid? That's where you'll find your meaning, Your Honor. I'm afraid I find nothing. So what if he knows the IV liquid's color? Leaves the getting excited over absolutely nothing to our teeny bopper fans, ja? The IV liquid was the only evidence proving the time of death. A 30-minute hourglass with 20 minutes worth of sand remaining. Your claim, Prosecutor Gavin?
I remember it well.
However, there's a critical difference between an hourglass and an IV bag.
Wait, I know. An hourglass uses sand, but an IV bag uses liquid. I'm right?
As much as it pains me to say this, Your Honor, no. Unlike the sand through an hourglass, IV liquid enters the patient's body, at which point, like magic, it disappears. However, what if the amount of IV liquid had increased? You couldn't tell, could you? After all, there's no way of knowing how much went in. Let me get this straight, alright. You're saying the witness watered down the victim's IV bag. Not with water, but with an IV liquid. That's how you knew the IV liquid was yellow. No, wait! I said wait! How might an amateur such as myself essay to perform such a task? I'm an amateur too, but I can pour water into a cup. Sadly enough for Phoenix, that is actually an accomplishment. I'm afraid there's quite a big difference between a cup and an IV bag, quite. Can you prove our witness is capable of such a feat?
You have a point, amateurs. I, at least, would have some difficulty pouring IV liquid into that bag.
You don't need to be an expert to see the look on the witness's face. He added liquid to that IV to throw off the time of death. I tire of these fairy tales lacking evidence.
Well, Mr. Wright, any solid evidence to bring us back down to earth?
Count Gramarye, I'm afraid your magic won't serve you well in a life of crime. Au contraire! How do you think Magnifi gets all his funding for his equipment and shows and venues? Why, Magnifi has not paid a single dime on taxes since the 80s! Might I ask what you're strongly suggesting? Magic relies on props, and props become evidence. Our witness was clearly able to increase the amount of liquid in the IV bag. All he had to do was work with a little magic, and the prop was...
The victim's syringe.
It's the perfect prop for the magically increasing IV trick, and easy enough for an amateur to use. What kind of evidence is that? The syringe was clean, not a trace of liquid on it. And don't you find that odd, Prosecutor Gavin? What? The victim had the syringe to administer his insulin shots. There should have been traces of insulin left inside. Well, Count Gramarye, as you pointed out yourself, the IV liquid makes the perfect clock. One that you can manipulate at will. Alakazam! Doves, peck his eyes out! Hurry! Fly me away, oh mighty doves! And then Volant just flies away. See you later, suckers!
I do believe, well, with this being his first, that the burden of this trial has been a bit too much to bear for Prosecutor Gavin. I'm afraid that while there is a doubt as to the amount of IV liquid in the bag, time of death cannot be proven, and that brings our trial to a close for today.
Well, maybe I could squeeze an extra day out of this. I could do a little much-needed investigation work. I could show so many people my badge.
I see there are no objections. What is...
Truly, there's no substitute for experience. Nothing blinds one to the truth so effectively. A word to the wise. Underestimate the young and they'll sweep your feet out from under you. In a way you never expected. You see, I know exactly what you're thinking. What's he talking about? You says the witness used the syringe to manipulate the level of the IV liquid, but there is no proof. There's no proof he didn't do it either. Yeah, quite true. Huh? He's admitting it. Nor was this witness quite as decisive as I'd hoped. This, I admit, after all, whiling on the past when the future holds so much more.
You have something in mind, Prosecutor Gavin?
Proof, Herr Judge. I have another way to prove my case. With evidence, no less.
What's this?
This is the victim, Magnifique Gramarye's diary, which contains his minimal secrets, as well as his hate list.
Diary?
After going into the hospital, Magnifique began writing his memoirs, it seems. How many people he had screwed over, how he had screwed them over, and how many children he had burned alive in orphanage fires. The story of his birth, his startling debut, and of meeting his disciples. He met them when they were clubbing baby seals at the zoo for fun. It seems he intended for the last chapter to end quite appropriately with his death. Wait, that book doesn't say what the reason was, does it? The reason why his disciples couldn't refuse his last request? Sadly, it does not. What's important here is on the last page. Apparently, the victim wrote in his journal that night, even after the IV had begun at 11 p.m. Let's read it, shall we?
This does appear to have been written just before his death. The court accepts this into evidence.
Read the very last part with particular care. This journal may end here, or it may go on, but not long. That depends on his hand. Of course, by his, he refers to our defendant, Troupe Gramarye.
That would make sense, yes. He was the first scheduled visitor, after all.
But look at what he said before that. This journal may end here, or it may go on. It may go on. Magnifique Gramarye intended to write again. That is, if Troupe Gramarye didn't pull the trigger. I see the defense understands the meaning of this. The victim's diary does not go on. It ends. Because Magnifique's life was brought to an end by the defendant, Troupe Gramarye.
Order! Prosecutor Gavin, are you certain that Magnifique Gramarye wrote this?
There's no mistaking his handwriting. As you can tell, the eyes are dotted with little middle fingers.
Well, this does seem to be significant. According to this, Magnifique did intend to continue his diary. Yet, if the diary ended here, which plainly it did,
then there's one who pulled the trigger was the first visitor, Troupe Gramarye. Well, how do you like me now? Alright. Still too green for your taste, He's right about the diary being pretty clear. Still, I find it hard to believe that he'd overlook such an obvious problem with his precious evidence.
well, Mr. Wright, the witnesses testimony we heard was lacking. But put together with this evidence, it seems quite sufficient for our case.
If the diary is accepted like this, the trial is over. Maybe it's time to maybe it's time for me to show them something. I'm left with no choice but to show my own evidence.
What? You have some evidence that overturns this diary?
It's not too late to rethink this and avoid more embarrassment. Yes, this is what you can tell! We're going down that dark path! He's like, oh, hell right, you do not know the pain I am about to unleash upon your soul. I will open Pandora's box and I will destroy your life.
Very well, please show us your evidence, Mr. Wright.
Incidentally, don't even think of showing us this diary I just showed to the court. Now that we've gone this far, I hope you have something a little more decisive. Really? You think that Phoenix would just present the diary? Hey, a page was torn out! What if something was written on this page? Show us evidence that proves the victim continued writing in his diary. Alright, I'd be happy to. The decider proving that this diary didn't end with this page is... First, take a look at this diary. Note that page has clearly been ripped out.
What's this? I hadn't noticed that at all.
That's why we're still here talking about this. As it just so happens, I have here what I believe to be the missing page.
Alaka, I don't believe it!
Looking at this page, it's hard to imagine that the first visitor that night shot Magnifique Gramarye. That's the defense's position.
Wait, let me see that! One Sam Hill! Why, this is the continuation of the victim's diary!
Note the torn edge of the page. It's a perfect match with the torn remains of the last page in Magnifique's diary.
Quite remarkable!
Would you care to explain what all this means, Herr Attorney? The diary continued after his first visitor came, which means that the victim was still alive after Zach Gramarye left, leaving no one to take his life but the second visitor. Hold on, Gramarye!
No! No! This handwriting too matches that on the other page. This is without doubt the genuine article. Order! But wait, that's impossible! That old man couldn't have written that!
Finally, you just couldn't resist, could you, Herr Wright? Resist what? Presenting solid evidence? And this is when in the case... really, just before Priest presented that diary, just every fan wants to swallow and say, no Papa Phoenix! Herr Judge?
Yes, Prosecutor Gavin?
Might I request we put the current cross-examination on hold? The prosecution would like to call for a new witness.
But Prosecutor Gavin, this evidence overturns the current witnesses.
I ask only to put it on hold. Please, my new witness has a very, very important piece of testimony to give. 5 minutes, no more. I promise, Your Honor.
Well, if you put it that way, Mr. Wright, what's your take on this?
Well, Your Honor, judging from his enthusiasm, we'll have to hear this new testimony sooner or later anyways, so it might as well be sooner.
Then, though this is highly irregular, we will put the current cross-examination on hold. The witness may step down. Now, Prosecutor Gavin, please bring the surprise witness to the courtroom.
I had a bad feeling just then. That ripped out page was too obvious. He must have known. And I should have known it was a bad sign all around. And then we get True freaking Misham coming in here.
Holding trial with no audience is a first, even for me, Prosecutor Gavin.
I beg the court's understanding. But they had to make a judiciary deal with the witness to secure his testimony. A judiciary deal? The details of his testimony have some legal ramifications, shall we say. I thought it best to contain the information to this room.
Very well, and you are the witness, I gather.
Ah, yes, sir. State your name and occupation for the record.
My name's Drew Misham. I'm a painter. A painter? And you are somehow related to this case? No, well, not per se.
I have one simple question for this witness. Mr. Misham, was it? Do you know what this is?
Oh, yeah. I know it well.
How is that possible? Have you seen this diary page somewhere before?
Oh, yes. I mean, I made it.
You... What? You made it? Ah, stupid microphone. I tilted it.
Yes, you might call it one of my works.
The regional prosecutor's office received a tip-off yesterday. Illegal evidence has been prepared for the trial of Zach Gramarye.
Illegal evidence?
I initiated an investigation and found this witness. Thankfully, my brother was more than helpful in providing the information. My brother, he knows all of the world. Apparently, this is the world at large. Drew Misham is another side, you might say. He is skilled at making perfect reproductions of certain things. Forgeries, in other words.
Forgeries? Well, so we are to understand that this page here is...
Effect. prepared by a certain defense attorney. Though, after going through after going through True Studio and finding out that this page was worth $100,000, you know for a fact that Phoenix could never even in a million years do this. Because even if Phoenix had just the moral issues to basically forge the diary page, even if he was perfectly fine with forging evidence and going against the situated ethos he established for himself, Phoenix wouldn't be able to afford it. Look at Phoenix! Look at his life! Phoenix does all his cases pro bono! Where's he getting this money from? What, is he going to tender lender? Getting Viola to write out a loan for him? For forged diary pages? Hold it! I didn't prepare this evidence! It was given to me in the hallway by a strange girl! Ah, the attorney speaks something about this page, I presume, but what is he saying? It makes no sense. After all, it was you who presented this evidence to us, Mr. Phoenix, right?
Witness, Mr. Micham, was it? Who requested this forgery? Who was your client? That I do not know.
What?
Most of my clients prefer to remain anonymous, even to me. I make the items they want and receive my payment. That's the extent of my contact with them.
But, there's no proof this is a fake!
It's a fake.
Huh?
To avoid just this sort of problem, I always put a special mark on my works.
If you're trying to make a forgery, why put a mark on your work? Literally, that's just at that point, it's just like, oh, hey, all we have to do to find out if Drew Micham forged is just look at the mark.
I can say without a doubt, this is mine. Mr. Wright, you have just presented illegal evidence in this court. My court. How could you, Mr. Wright? I trusted you! It's my fight about Edgeworth! Mr. Edgeworth is beyond all reproach, Mr. Wright!
What about his mentor, Mr. 40 years of
40. Mr. Von Carlos scared me, Mr. Wright. If I brought up his forged evidence, he would end us all! Look what he did to Gregory Edgeworth! You think I want to end up like Gregory Edgeworth? No! You think I want to die in an elevator?
It was careless of me. That's all I can say. I was screwed over by a magician girl.
Oh, bye. Here. Screw you.
What's this?
I don't know. I just got it over there in the hall. They told me to give it to the old boy in a blue suit with spiky hair. Don't know who he was. Was some guy with a drill hair and wearing a bowler hat and a trench coat and a fake mustache that was probably bought at the dollar store. They said it was really important. They also told me to tell you to screw you.
It was all a trap. A fatal trap.
Mr. Wright.
Yes?
Do you have an explanation for yourself?
I got it from a strange girl in the lobby. If I did, would the court hear it?
No, probably not. Forging evidence is a serious crime. And presenting it in court, a serious mistake. A fatal mistake for an attorney.
Fatal too, perhaps, for your client, I fear. Tell me, what kind of defendant relies on forged evidence? The answer is quite clear. A guilty one! Your Honor, wait! I understand that presenting forged evidence in court is a serious crime, but you cannot hold my client responsible for actions I undertook as an individual.
I am sorry, Mr. Wright.
Your Honor, another close call, I dare say. If the prosecutor's office hadn't received that hot tip, everything would have gone the way you wanted it to, ja? I even gave you a chance. Too bad you decided not to think before embarrassing yourself.
I see no need for further discussion of this matter. Special witness dismissed. Mr. Attorney.
Yes?
Could I ask your name?
Phoenix Wright.
Mr. Wright. I have seen and studied many people, but none like you. I'll remember you, Mr. Wright. Though I deeply regret having to declare a verdict in this way, this trial is over. You have the right to find a new attorney and make up an appeal. However, this court must...
Ah, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Zuck? There is one thing I wish to make clear. Today, in this courtroom, you cannot declare me guilty. It is impossible. I'm afraid the defendant is quite mistaken. I most certainly have the authority to declare a verdict on you. Except, tell me, how do you plan on announcing your verdict when your defendant does not exist? Does not exist? What are you talking about? I am talking about this!
Mr. Enigma, you asshole! Don't leave me alone! I'm taking you down with me! The defendant is scared. Find him, quick!
Bailiff, close all exits from the building! On the double, he must not be allowed to escape!
That day, in the courtroom, a miracle occurred. The defendant, Shady Enigma, aka Troupe Gramarye, aka the biggest jerk one of the biggest jerks to ever walk the earth, did not just escape from court. He literally, unbelievably vanished. Right before the bailiff's eyes. No one ever saw him again. Not since that day. This is the Gramarye miracle! Ha 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 ha! Notice how your life is worse after meeting me! No verdict was declared. After all, the defendant didn't exist. That's how it happened. The trial of magician Troupe Gramarye vanished, along with him for all eternity. The mysteries that remained behind were all solved, however, but not until 7 years later. To be continued. Ooh. Yeah, and I love how just Zach makes things even worse for Phoenix. Zach literally, he's like, see you, sucker! Vanish time! Make you look all the guiltier, Mr. Right! But no, there's an even bigger moment of assholery that Zach is holding back. One that's gonna get the full red. But anyways, we'll do that in the next episode. Anyways, I really appreciate that you second to watch the episode review. We go back to the next one. If you like, subscribe, comment, share, do everything. Well, I'll see you next time. Bye.